From journalism students at London Metropolitan University, this is Met Today.
Good afternoon and welcome to Met Today. I'm Cecily Ponsford.
And I'm India Rawlings. In today's programme, we will be talking to the family of beloved TV personality and one of Britain's best-known magicians, Paul Daniels, who passed away this morning.
We will also be discussing the budget backlash. Who is going to be affected by the disability cuts? What do the public really think about the new sugar tax? And how are young people responding to the government's plans to introduce a new lifetime ISA?
Plus, we will be looking into the work trends in Shoreditch and the rave scene in West London.
Much-loved magician and TV personality Paul Daniels has died today. The 77-year-old was diagnosed with a brain tumour just a few weeks ago and passed away early this morning with his wife, Debbie McGee, by his side.
London Met journalism student Scott McGee is Paul's nephew. He's been telling us how he would like his uncle to be remembered and how magical he was off stage as well as on stage. Joey Tamburello reports.
In fact, I know what's already in your minds. You see, I walk on, a mind reader, I know what you're thinking.
One of Britain's most beloved magicians, Paul Daniels, has passed away after dedicating his life to entertaining the public. He was known for his Saturday night hit television show, The Paul Daniels Magic Show, which ran for 15 years. Paul's nephew, Scott McGee, spoke exclusively to Met Today.
My earliest memory was actually going to see him in one of his smaller shows. He played a very small show on Jermyn Street up in London as a tribute to another old famous magician, and he got me and my cousin up on stage as part of the trick, and that's when we realised kind of how famous he was. And then about a month later, he was in pantomime with Debbie. It was coming up to Christmas and he was in pantomime, and then at the end of the show he got a load of kids up on stage, and he got including me and my brother and my two cousins, and he got us all to sing Chick 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 Chicken. Yeah, he was always learning new tricks. Every time I go over the house, he'd always be there, either with a book or with his laptop, and he'd always show us new tricks or something. He'd be like, oh look, I've just worked out this one, and then he'd show us, see what we thought, and you know, if he had a tour coming up, he'd use that trick. He was always learning, like even when he was older and stuff like that, he'd always learn new tricks. He was very close to his sons, Gary, Martin and Paul Jr. He was very close to his wife. He was very close to Debbie, as people obviously know. 27 years of marriage, and they were strong up until the end. He was just devoted to his wife and to his work. So we never really considered him famous. Like, we saw him on TV appearances and stuff like that, but it was just like, oh, okay. But he was always like joking around with us and stuff like that. He was never very show busy when it was just us. He treated us like, you know, he treated us like normal and we treated him like normal. It wasn't like he wanted anything different or anything like that. He was just fun, really. He was a lot younger than his age. He acted a lot younger than his age. He was very silly. Well, we want him to be remembered as the magician. He inspired a lot of people. He inspired people, you know, magicians that you see now, like Dynamo, like Stephen Mulhern, people like that. He's inspired a lot of people, and that's how we want him to be remembered, by his legacy.
George Osborne will cut £4.4 billion from benefits for disabled people over the course of Parliament, sparking alarm and a possible rebellion among the Conservative backbenchers. Patty Bolero investigates how this will affect the people of London.
Did you feel when you first heard about the cuts of £4.4 billion?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is a lot of people will suffer through it. There are a lot of people who are not getting the benefits. Some people don't know the benefits they're allowed, and they're already being cut back, and people are losing out, and they are suffering from it.
What does this mean for disabled people in Britain?
Oh, it means quite a bit. I mean, you know, they talk about cutting their fares out, for example, travel expenses. There's different things that they really need. They're not like us, where we can go around and we can get around easy, for example. The tube trains, if they cut it down, then they're not going to extend on the tube train, so people will become disabled. We're trying to enable them, but not every station, for example, has wheelchair access.
Apologies for the technical difficulties with that package. After witnessing what others have to say, we are pleased to welcome Amanda Marilia, the Student Unions Officer at London Metropolitan University, to discuss how they will be helping their students with disabilities be able to afford to continue to live in the capital with the cost of the university.
Welcome, Amanda. Firstly, how do you feel about the changes within the budget for disabled people?
I'm working at the Student Union, and I feel like there's a lot of cuts happening around the UK and in education especially. And as a student union, we've been working together with the university. And unfortunately, there's a lot of cuts and redundancies being made here as we speak. So there's been a lot of issues into how we can push more into providing more services for disabled students.
So what sorts of things have you been doing to help the disabled people at London Metropolitan be able to afford their studies when these new changes come into place?
Well, we have a connection with the DDS services and the student services, and well, we haven't had a meeting yet, but we've just had an election, so the new student union can work together more in the next couple of months with the new system. And when the one campus, one community brings everyone together, then there can be a way forward and focus more on other backgrounds and disabilities, because at the moment there's a lot of changes going on and it's kind of chaotic.
So what kind of response have you had from the students in light of these changes?
Well, I've spoken to a lot of, I'm from the CAS, so I know how people would like more support for them, from the PATS, who work with the students, so they provide help and support, but they would like more support for disabilities or people whose English is not their first language especially. They would like more support and international students for their work.
And finally, what more do you think the government could do to help support disabled people?
What they could do is the Conservatives could actually speak to the people in person and see how their daily lives affect them and what could they do to help. But at the moment they're cutting everything, and NHS, and that's they're not really thinking about what the people need.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for coming in and speaking to us today.
Yesterday, George Osborne announced in his budget a new lifelong ISA, which will benefit home buyers and people in retirement. The new ISA is set to launch in 2017 and will allow those with £4,000 in their account to receive an annual bonus of £1,000. Wendy Obiri reports.
Yesterday, George Osborne announced a new lifelong ISA which will benefit home buyers, students and people in retirement. The new ISA is set to launch in 2017. It means if you have £4,000 in your account, the government will give you a £1,000 bonus. We talked to some students to find out their perspective on this change.
Yeah, I have an ISA, so I think it's good to start and save money for your future.
I think that is ridiculous because students can't afford to save £4,000. It would benefit me. I guess the extra money would be amazing.
They'll give you money, but then they'll have some kind of way of taking it back as well.
The sugar tax has been approved in the budget, and there will now be a 24% increase in all sugary drinks. We talked to the British public to gain their thoughts on the higher prices. Felicia Olutis reports.
Britain will be the first country in the world to launch a tax on sugary drinks. George Osborne states that this is a bid to tackle childhood obesity and raise funding to invest in personal education in schools.
Concerning me, I have a 10-year-old daughter and I know she eats quite a lot of sugary things at home, and I try to obviously regulate how much she eats at home. When she goes to school and friends' house, it's quite hard to control that. So what I normally do, this sugary tax theory will benefit me, because I know with the older she gets, the higher the prices of the sugary things will be in the shops, and therefore she might not be able to buy it, which is a positive thing for me, because when I look back, I've had issues, they've had dental issues, and those things is costly money, emotionally and financially. So I'm all for it.
We're more conscious about health. I think that's got a lot of potential. but I also think there's possibly an issue that it's actually a lot of poorer communities that have to buy these drinks, and that could actually target a potentially marginal group.
Educated people will go further than taking away their freedom, you know, because I mean you're hitting families, working class families that you know, that will have to pay extra for their drinks, and then instead of taking that choice from them, then just, you know, tell them what's healthy and what's not.
The corporations more than the individual, because obviously there's different circumstances. You can say, I mean, if you're having a kids party and you're buying lots of fizzy pop and things like that, it's not really fair to get taxed more so than they're charging anyway. So I think, yeah, it's a bit of a, there's pros and cons, but I think ultimately that the government should tax the corporations more than the individual, and I think the government should put more money into educating the individuals about the health issues around sugar.
A statement from the British Soft Drinks Association said, "We are extremely disappointed by the Chancellor's decision to hit the only category in the food and drink sector which has consistently reduced sugar intake in recent years. Down from 13.6% since 2012, we are the only category with an ambitious plan for the years ahead. In 2012, we agreed a calorie reduction goal of 20% by 2020. By contrast, sugar and calorie intake from all other major home food categories is increasing, which makes the targeting of soft drinks simply absurd."
Now, renting in London continues to get more expensive every week, but startups in East London have said to have found a solution which helps businesses save money and create a community atmosphere. Hannah Aldwinkle reports.
With a lack of affordable places to rent in the city to work in, companies such as the Office Group have been providing free pop-up spaces so people can work. I'm here to find out more.
London has always attracted a high number of entrepreneurs, and 2015 was a record-breaking year. Over 500,000 startups launched in Britain, with more than a third starting in the capital. 600,000 more are predicted by the end of this year. The Office Group provides design-led workspaces for businessmen and women. The new free pop-up focuses on co-working. Richard Taylor explains.
It's really for relatively small companies, maybe for 1 to 3 people, and they're spaces where people work in a collective space. We find people really love that, but particularly when you start up a business, you know, it's good to be surrounded by people going through exactly the same experiences that you're going through. Sometimes it starts in coffee shops, you know, and then graduates to co-working. As the companies get bigger, they then go into office space. This really, the pop-up co-working space, is just an opportunity for us to give something back.
The free pop-up space is proving to be a godsend for entrepreneurs that struggle finding affordable office space to rent in London. Business starter Spencer Shaw explains how it's helped him and his business partner.
We're in the process of signing hopefully a large contract, and we're not sure whether we'll be based here or somewhere else. So having this space and being able to come down here is a huge help in terms of being able to work in a nice environment.
Surrounded by donated art and independent designers' work, the pop-up space encourages creativity. One team member that helps people using the space to network and socialise is Stefan Jakubowski.
On the one hand, you can work pretty much anywhere these days. You can work from home, you can work in coffee shops, libraries. But I think what's really important with spaces like this is that you actually get to meet other business people and kind of make these connections that you might not get to otherwise. I think that's kind of where we add a bit of value over those spaces.
Although rents are increasing, pop-up spaces are providing a ray of hope for London's entrepreneurs.
Well, it's a sad time for Arsenal fans, as any prospects of winning a league position this season have been diminished after their latest results. Luigi Bonfiglio reports from the stadium.
It is once again another disappointing end of the season for Arsenal. After losing 2-1 to Watford in the FA Cup last week and chancing on winning the league looking slim, they crashed out of the Champions League last night after Barcelona beat them 5-1 on aggregate. It is a familiar feeling for Arsenal fans as they left the competition at this stage every year for the past 6 years. I spoke with some fans to see what they think.
This season, well, it could be better. I've been disappointed. They don't have the fire in them. They can't finish the deal. They get close, and then they back off.
The home form is not as solid as it has been when they was at Highbury. You know, I think it depended really, but they've crumbled really. I mean, you know, having said that, a lot of Arsenal fans think negative about Arsenal losing here to Barcelona. But if Barcelona hadn't scored to make it 2-0, it wouldn't have been so bad.
The pressure is building up on Wenger. With 8 games to go, the league is out of reach. Some fans want him gone at the end of the season.
I personally think that, along with many thousands of Arsenal fans, that Wenger has to go, really, in my opinion.
Beginning it was all right, you know, all go for it with all the new players in. But then again, too many injuries, too many same old thing. I think Arsene Wenger, he needs to.
So you think it's Wenger's fault?
I won't say it's fault. I think it's his stubbornness, you know.
So it's time to change.
Yeah, definitely.
With Arsenal unable to progress as a club, it looks like the time has come for Wenger to step aside. Luigi Bonfiglio at the Emirates.
Well, with many Londoners preparing to celebrate St Patrick's Day tonight, many could be continuing the celebrations tomorrow morning with London's new rave craze that sees London jumping at dawn, pumped on nothing but fruit smoothies and organic coffee. Felicia Olitis tells us more.
Get up and dance. No drinking, no smoking. Just dance your arse off and save the planet.
You would think that it is 2 a.m. on a Saturday night with drunken ravers, but actually it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning with ravers drunk off positivity. Welcome to Morning Gloryville, where the main objective is love. Clubbers are greeted with a stimulated hug from the Wake Up Angels. And then the party starts. But what exactly is Morning Gloryville?
It's a healthy, conscious place for people to come, to express themselves, to celebrate in a completely clean, natural environment without any intoxication, without any stimulants, and just to allow people to express themselves freely without any kind of other influences.
The alternative rave offers a range of holistic treats from yoga, massages, and healthy snacks. Kids are even allowed to enjoy the club scene. But what makes Morning Gloryville different from your normal club?
I love to dance, and I'm an old and ancient person who can't go out in the evening to clubs because I'd feel like an idiot. So, you know, I'm just really happy that this is here.
The alcohol and drug-free rave has helped former addicts with being in a safe environment to party. This is the founder's main aim.
It's like going out on the town with the girls, but without the hangover the next day. Instead, you leave feeling energized, renewed, refreshed, and ready to conquer the day and everything else.
Morning raves like Morning Gloryville could be the new way to party for the next generation. Isha Olitis Tombofa reporting.
Well, I think straight from the St Patrick's celebrations to the morning rave.
Top of the morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. Please join us next week at the same time for more local news. Goodbye.
Goodbye.